This is the Best Syndication News video production. On May 15, 2008, we traveled to Canaries to interview Stephen Knight. After the candidates forum at Canaries, we sat down with Stephen to discuss various issues. He is running for the 36th Assembly District of California. Here is that interview. Steve, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Steve Knight, 41 years old, born on Edwards Air Force Base. I was an Air Force brat for many years. I graduated Palmdale High School and also graduated Antelope Valley College. Been a high desert guy basically all my life. Lived back east for a couple different stints, but mostly the high desert. Enlisted in the United States Army and was stationed in Freiburg, Germany in the 136th Infantry. Came out and joined the Los Angeles Police Department. I am currently serving in Devonshire Division, which is Northridge, Granada Hills, Chatsworth area. I've done 5 different divisions over my 17 years, including a 2.5-year stint with Crash, which is a gang enforcement detail. Have my wife for almost 19 years, 2 boys, 14 and 10, and was elected to the Palmdale City Council in 2005.
Steve, what got you interested in politics in the first place?
Well, my father was the first popularly elected mayor of Palmdale. He was on the city council, he became an assemblyman and a senator, and actually passed away in 2004 while in office. I got to talk to my dad probably 100 different times over politics. It was always a heated argument over different things that were going on. But our philosophies were always pretty much in line. This is the best way to get things done. The economy expands not by government, but by business. We always employed the same philosophy, it's just he had a lot more patience than I did. But I loved it. I didn't want to run while he was in office. He was a very popular man because of what he did in the Air Force, not so much of what he did in politics, but he kindled this relationship with community service and politics in general.
Are you a fiscal conservative and or a social conservative too, or just
Yes,
what's your philosophy?
I'm conservative across the board, and the way I explain that is there are an awful lot of things that I believe government does today that they shouldn't be doing. Government should be streamlined. Now, in saying that, I don't have my head in the clouds. It is a set system. There are people that believe in all the entitlement programs and all the things that government gives away that I don't. Unfortunately, there's 48 of them and 32 of us. And very possibly in this next election, they'll turn into 50 Democrats who believe in a lot of the entitlement programs and only 30 Republicans, which means all they need is 4 Republicans to come over to their side on certain issues, and they could do whatever they want. They would have the 2/3 vote. So I am conservative across the board. I think that government has a very specific role, and we have broadened that role into we've got all this money, let's spend it. And that is not what government should be doing.
So you're going from city office to a state office. Are you more concerned with what issue would concern you the most when you go up to Sacramento?
Well, you're going to see it this summer. There's a huge push to increase taxes. I've made no bones about it. I've signed the no tax pledge. I've sent it to Sacramento to the different groups that fight taxes. I've made my opinion that I am not going to vote for a tax. I also think that illegal immigration has taken a huge burden on our budget. We've been complaining about this for 30 years, but it took the federal government to get a law in the state government in Georgia to figure out that there's a problem in this country. Now, I've never been in Georgia, but I can't imagine they've got the illegal immigration problem that we do. So when you're talking about $10.8 billion spent on illegal immigration last year, that takes a big bite out of us. And I've also made CCW a huge issue in my mind.
Okay. The gun issue was concealed weapons permit was brought up today in the debates. What is your opinion about that?
Well, this has been brought up. This isn't my idea. I can't take credit for this. This is something that has been thrown around in the legislature quite a few times. I would like to write that again and bring it forward, because I think people are understanding that concealable weapons permits being in the sheriff's hands and the police hands is not the way that this country was founded. It is a right. I believe you should be able to carry a concealable weapon in this state. And I think that it shouldn't be in the way of just letting the police chief or the sheriff making that determination. If he decides he doesn't like me, doesn't want to give me a CCW, he doesn't have to. I think there should be some sort of restrictions on a CCW process. Obviously, you can't own a gun when you're a felon. That's already written into law. Psych patients, things like that. I would even be considering a 8-hour training course, because when you have a gun, you have a huge responsibility. I do not think that people should be taking a gun lightly. And I would also be in favor of legislation that said if you use a gun irresponsibly and you have a CCW license, you will be penalized severely. We do that with our police officers. If they're out in a bar and they pull their gun in an irresponsible manner, they are punished severely because of the responsibility they have by carrying a weapon.
You made your statement that you are definitely against raising taxes.
Yes.
Is there any particular areas that you want to just cut the budget, mainly?
Well, yeah, obviously illegal immigration is something that we can look into. The federal government allows us to have a border patrol agency. It allows us to have that.
On the state?
Yes. It has never been really explored. That is not something that we consider. I think that would be a great step.
That would cost us money, though, right?
It would definitely cost us money, but would it cost us money in the long run? You obviously have to look at the pros and cons.
You know, we tried to pass 187 a few years back.
We did
but the
pass
courts,
187.
Yeah, we passed it, but the courts overturned it.
That's right.
Is there anything that the Assembly or the Senate and Governor can do to...
Well, in the legislature, you can write a bill that can be challenged as an unconstitutional part of our process. And so that's always part of it. 187, I believe, passed by 64%. It was a huge margin of passage. You know, when you get something like that, in my opinion, you really have to take the voter and look at them and take that consideration as what we should do. Now, obviously, the courts will always have some realm, but 64% is something that the voters are saying, this is something we absolutely need, this is something we believe in. Why aren't we doing it?
Is there any place else you'd cut?
Well, yeah, there's many places across the budget that I would cut. One of the things is in the Department of Education. I think that the reason we have a Department of Education at the state level or at the federal level is ludicrous. We shouldn't. It is a local issue. We should have localized issues being dealt with local people. If your children went to school in South Central LA and my children went to school in La Jolla, and now you're going to blanket the state with all of the same issues, your children are going to go through different issues than mine are, or vice versa. There are different districts, there are different problems, they should be handled locally. So if you can streamline the Department of Education and make sure those dollars get into the classrooms faster without all the bureaucratic red tape, then you're going to help those children flourish. That's just the way it is.
Do you have anything that you would do about crime? What would you do? Is there anything that you'd propose?
Well, and I talk about crime all the time just because, you know, for lack of a better term, I am an expert on this because I've spent my life doing this. I have been involved with grants. They've given us grants, and we've basically taken 12 police officers. We've gone out and...
This has been a Best Syndication News video production.